Okay, there we go.
Hey, hot
Oha.
surfers. How are you today? All right, Dan the
Oh,
Healing Man, what's going on?
well, I'm having a grand time here today because it's an opportunity to be with you again and with all the
Ah,
heart surfers who are out there tuned in to our frequency of healing me before we.
that's right. And this is a podcast addressing owning our own emotional drama and identifying what we bring to our relationships. We believe healing starts within ourselves first. So we bring to you this unique way of uncovering limiting beliefs about relationships by examining the common uses of cliche. My name is Sharon Thee Heart Lady. Yes, and so Dan, what is the cliche for the day?
Well, our cliche for today, Sharon, is love is work. And if you want to make it even more, it's love is hard work. So not
So
just that it's work, it's hard work.
now
And
is
when
that
I think
true?
of that word hard work, I think of sweat, right?
That's
You're
right.
sweating.
We know some people, men and women, are sweating, working at their relationship. And then, I've had clients that come to me and say, oh, love should not be hard. Love should be easy. What is so hard about loving someone? So let's jump into the perspectives. Why is love hard work, or why is it hard to work on love?
Well, I think it's because we're confusing a feeling, love, with what goes into keeping a relationship strong. And
Mm,
so, love in itself, in my mind, is neither hard nor easy. Feelings just
interesting.
are there within us, stirring within us all of the time. You and I are always having feelings, whether we give recognition to them or not. We are
Right.
feeling something.
Mm-hmm.
We even started out with our podcast today, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And so we're always feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And those feelings take no effort in themselves. Now, what happens is we push down feelings, so then it does take effort to give that permission, to give ourselves permission of feeling or expressing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to start out by saying that in terms of how we view love in itself. Is love something that has to be, once again, earned? Do we have to work for love?
Mm.
I always refer to my granddaughter, Maybe Wavy Gravy, because she'll be 2 in a couple of months.
Oh,
She's not
wow.
working to earn anybody's love.
Yeah.
She she's love just coming from within her at this
Okay.
time of her life.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to perform to have love.
So we are getting a lot of um, freezing during this episode. So, but we're just going to keep it moving, folks. So, all right. But I agree with you. Oh, and how is maybe Wavy Gravy doing?
But she's doing great because you
I
know what?
remember, folks. I
She's
remember when just before she was born. So that is too cute. Maybe.
well, maybe wavy gravy. And I always tell people this, if you've lost connection with what love is,
Yeah.
then just observe a baby.
That's
Because
right.
a baby will model for us what true love is, what
Right.
love is.
Yeah.
Love is pure. It is unadulterated. It's that it doesn't have to be earned.
Hmm.
And babies have that self-love. And I think that's what, I talk self-love. Do I have to work for my self-love?
Yeah.
Do I
Some
have to
people do.
sweat for my self-love?
Unfortunately, this is true. Some people have to work at some love because of maybe some trauma that they've been through, being taught that they are unworthy. So a lot of people have to work at self-love. But what I like about what you said, Dan, is that love is just love. It's natural. And why do you have to work at it? It is a feeling, just as though you get angry, upset, embarrassed, all the other emotions that we go through. So I think the distinction is loving someone else, right? And it doesn't have to be an intimate partner. It could be, a family member, right? Friends. Um,
True. That is true.
what I did want to bring out is that I love that when you look at a baby, because it's an automatic feeling. You don't have to work at loving a baby. So I always say people who have that hard time for getting connection, I too suggest that they play with children. If you get an opportunity to hold a baby, hold a baby. So that is true. So if we want to come back and really talk about why do people say that it's hard work in a relationship, it's hard to love in a relationship, is that it is not so much the feeling in the relationship that you're working at. You're working at the communication and the understanding of the other person. That can be hard work because you both are coming from two different entities, may have different mindsets. Even if you've been together for a while and think that, oh, I already know what he's going to say or she's going to say, that's not necessarily true. So I think we do have to work at, in quotation marks, love, but really we have to work at the relationship. And work for me in a relationship is growing together. So work in love is really growing in love. And so when we grow through things, there are going to be, as they say, growing pains. There are going to be things that we have to figure out for each other. And I'm sure, Dan, I know you've been with your wife for over 30 years, me with my husband over 40 years. There are still things that we're like, I didn't know that. And we're
Yeah,
still trying to uh, understand how we are, because how we were when we were 20 is not the same as how we are when we are 40, and on and on and on, because we go through our own personal self-development, and we may have thought one thing at one age and we can think of it completely differently or opposite when we reach another age. And so this is where the work is. Okay, so you used to do this, you're not doing this anymore. And I think I gotta I know ladies don't get upset with me, but I think we ladies, we go through so many changes in our life, and the men are like trying to scratch at their head. Does she want me to say that she looks pretty? Does she want me to say that she gained weight? Does she want me to say that men get confused and they don't know. So all of that interrupts our communication, and why it seems as though it's hard to love someone, because we all go through our changes. What's your thoughts, Dan?
that's true. Well, my wife would say that men go through menopause just
They
as much as women.
the actual term is
And
called,
earlier in life, actually, like midlife crisis, as
yeah,
they
well,
call it.
midlife crisis is around 50, but actually men do go through the medical terminology for the changes of life that men go through is called andropause. So women go through menopause and women go through andropause. Did I say that backwards? Women go through menopause and men go through andropause. So she's right. And men do have more
Oh,
of a
okay. There you
and men
go.
do have more of a midlife crisis, I think, more than women. So men go
Well, I
through their
also think
changes.
it's partly because we're almost programmed to have a midlife crisis,
Yeah, yeah,
that it's been introduced to us, and so it's almost like something that we feel like we have to go through in order to come out on the other side.
yeah, yeah.
And some before, as far as like when you fall in love with someone, you're doing a lot of work in that initial stage of the relationship of falling in love, right? You're spending a lot of time, you're making choices to prioritize that person over other people, and yet it doesn't feel like work. And I think that's what I want to emphasize. It's not like it doesn't take effort. Of course it does. It takes a lot of effort when you're beginning a relationship. The only thing is, it doesn't feel like work. And so that's important, right?
Yeah.
It's almost effortless work in the sense that you're so connected to this person, you're so in a state of desire to be with them all the time that you choices that allow you to do that, to have all
Right.
that time because you just both crave
Yes. I think,
and you show up with the other person. And so are doing work, it just doesn't feel like it. You might even be sweating and you look at the sweat as something other than perspiration, right? You look at it in a way that is such a positive. And so the word work in itself can have negative connotations, right? The idea of going to a job 40 hours a week and not really enjoying it, right? You're just doing
yes.
it for the paycheck. You're doing it to get through at the end of the, why do they say Fridays, right? Oh, Friday, it's finally Friday. By the way, today's Friday. And we celebrate Friday because it's the end of the work week. So that's
That's
what
right.
I'm saying. It's like if it starts to feel more like work, then another word that I introduce, and you and I talk about this all the time, fun. Like I just heard you and your husband laughing together, right? Having fun. And so that's what we have to look at, that balance. Does it
Yeah.
feel more like work or are we having fun in this relationship?
Well, I think it feels more like work when we're not so happy. It feels like work when you are in a bad space within yourself, or when you see that your partner is going through changes and you're not sure how to deal with it. I love the word that you use because it's not so much work, you do have to put forth effort. You have to put forth
Mhm.
effort in anything that you're doing that you want to become successful. I think us as entrepreneurs and those who are entrepreneurs and solopreneurs really understand what it's we love what we're doing, but we have to put the work in. We have to put the effort in. And yes, there are sweat and tears, but just like in a personal relationship, you have to have determination, right? You have to have patience, right? And you have to know that you are spending a lot of time doing what you want and getting what you want so that it becomes successful, right? So I think that when we think of it in those terms, it's work. And also we have to think about, is it something that we just want or is it something that we just need? So,
Mm.
you know, I think it's interesting. I'd love to hear what the viewers have to say about, is love hard work? Do you have to work at love? I think that that with love, when we are loving our in our intimate relationships, this is what we're talking about in particular. When you notice that, hey, I really have these strong feelings and we're going to call it love with someone, it may just stir up some other things inside of us, which for some it may be uncomfortable, depending on how they've experienced their childhood, where we are first introduced what love is from our parents. So depending on how that was introduced, falling in love, growing in love, finding someone that we love, and we get those feelings. Um, it can be really hard for some people to reconcile the feelings and understand what love is, depending on what they were taught love is or what they were programmed love is. And I think another thing why a lot of people think that love is hard work is because we have also been shown those romantic shows on TV and hearing
Disney.
on the music and how lovely love is and happy ever after, that type of thing. So we've just been told just through these mediums that love is easy. And then when you get into the true love, the real relationship, you're like, oh, I got to put some effort. Yes, I do have to get up every morning and make sure my spouse, my partner, um, is good. I have to make sure that I'm good and that I have everything to give. And if I don't, then here's the biggest part. I have to be able to learn how to communicate that to my partner. So it takes effort. And some of the things that you may be going through personally, people may be shy to share it. Shy meaning a little embarrassed or a little shameful or um, just don't have the words or the know-how to articulate how they're feeling. So they may shut down and say nothing, or they may project it in anger. And so it's for when you're living with someone, is trying to figure out, okay, what's going on?
Mhm.
And so these are just the nuances that we want to work through. See the word work? We want to work through. So in times we can say, boy, this is hard work, but for me, the question to ask, is it worth it?
Oh, okay. That's a great question. And I hear what you're saying. See, I just said it. What you have to do in any relationship first is listen.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Listen in a way that you can really become more aware of where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you're first in that relationship of falling in love, you're like so close to each other, right? You're listening to each other's every word and you want to make sure you don't miss anything. And then what happens as a relationship evolves and matures, 4 or 6 months or a couple of years down the road, is we start to take each other for granted. So, it's funny because my wife and I, well, we live in a two-story home. How often do we communicate where one person is upstairs and the person is saying something and the other person is not getting what they're saying? Because we're
Mm-hmm.
not sitting in that booth like when we first met, sharing a milkshake from the same, glass. We're so enamored with each other. And so it's important to, yes, continue to put effort into the relationship and listen to each other, pay attention to what the other
Mm-hmm.
person is saying. And then going to what we talked about before, Chapman's languages of love and finding out what that other person's love language is,
Languages, yeah.
and then acting in a way. There it is. So, yes, love does involve a choice to act in a way that supports the other person's love language,
Yeah.
in a way that they now feel that love that I am sending them.
Right.
Because
Right.
how often do I send out love and it gets misunderstood
Mm,
because it's not in line with that person's language of love? And
yeah.
so, as you said, we're still learning, even after together for almost 40 years, we're
Mm-hmm.
still learning things about each other.
Yeah.
And with curiosity instead of judgment, like, oh, you didn't know that about me? Apparently I didn't. So let's
Hey,
go from there.
I mean, we still say that. You didn't know that, which brings up the point of where there is some misunderstanding is because we often think because we've been with each other for so long that you could read each other's mind. You may be able to finish each other's sentences, but at this time, let me just put it out there for all us woo woo folks. We are not. A lot of us are not clairvoyant. A lot of us cannot read minds at this time or our spouse's mind, and sometimes again it falls into that we expect you to know this about us and you didn't get it, and so we might have to tell you again. So it's so I think love is work. At first, when I was years ago, I was being interviewed on this radio station, and it was like, "Wow, how you been together for so long?" And I said, "Work." And
Okay.
then after the interview years later, I said, "Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said it's hard work because loving him is easy." And then I was only totally confused. Was it hard? Is it easy? I was like, "Oh, what are people gonna think?" But now I realize that I used to not don't use the word work. It does take effort. Because even if you're growing a business, if you're growing a child, you automatically love that child, but it does take work. It doesn't take work to love the child. It takes work to get to know the child, to teach the child. Um, and that's the work, that's the effort that you put in, because if you neglect the child, you're causing other childhood issues, and I could go way, I don't want to get off the subject here, but these are things that we
Yes.
want to take into consideration. And relationships with your child, your friends, your coworkers, relationship with money. So I can use that metaphorically, right? That even if you want a relationship with money, to build and to have more money, you have to work to get the money. Either way. So I think that the cliche does hold true for me this time, that love is work.
Okay. Well, there you go. Love, I agree with you in the sense that if we can agree to disagree on things, and I hope that we do continue to do that because love, the feeling, is effortless. To
I agree with
stay in
that
a
part.
relationship, to stay in a relationship with someone takes effort,
Mhm.
takes
Yes.
a lot more. That's why you and I have said before too, love isn't enough. That's not enough. What we have to bring to that relationship of love, out of love, because we love that person,
Nice. Nice.
is the effort, right?
Nice.
Is
Yes.
is all of the actions that we take to learn about that other person that we're still learning, right? Whether it's my wife Maggie likes cooked onions, she doesn't like raw onions, okay? And
Mhm.
sometimes I confuse that, and that's okay because you know what? It's not going to end the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
The important thing is that the other person feels like I am paying attention to them. I am listening to what they say. I am giving my effort into
Yeah.
this relationship.
Yeah. 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 And some of the warning signs are, um, you stop paying attention. When you
Mhm.
stop paying attention to your partner, then that's a red flag. That's something that you want to look at. Or when you feel like your partner has stopped paying attention to you, this is when we have to start putting the effort forward and asking those hard questions. And so, Dan, as we come to a close, I really want to invite you all to comment, and remember to give us your ideas on other cliches that you may have. And we are like this close on going live.
Yeah.
So we're excited
I love
about
it.
that. We're going live. I'm just still trying to figure out some of the little, tweaks and so forth in it, because I'm not technological that great in technological. I'm not gonna say I'm not good, because I'm working on it. That I got to work through. That's hard
You're
work
putting
for me.
effort. You're putting effort
I'm
into
putting
it.
forth the effort. So let
There you
me
go.
give you all, as we leave, some things to think about when we're putting forth the effort, when we are working and growing with our loved ones. So, one, how can we help to make it better in our relationship? What are you doing? How can you help to improve the communication, the interactions that you're having with the one that you love? Uh, what things are you doing to understand each other? How can we understand each other more? Sometimes you have to come and see a coach like Dan the Healing Man or Sharon Thee Heart Lady to help you dig deeper and to be that objective voice to help you feel safe in talking about some thoughts, inner feelings that you haven't shared before and you're not sure how to do it. So don't wait until you're dragged out, ready to leave to discover these things. Now is a good time, especially when things are going good. And then the other thing, and I think Dan will agree with this one, how can we own our experiences by being clear on what we need? How can we own our experiences while asking for clarity for what we need? Being able to ask what we need clearly so that the person really gets what you're asking for and what you need. And to be able to check in with each other ever so often. How you doing? How you feeling? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? These are things that are missing in if you want a long-term relationship, those are the things that help keep igniting the fire and help um, continue to grow in love because you know what each other want, each other needs, and you put the effort into making that happen for the both of you. While at the same time, Dan is real clear on this. At the same time, you're working on your own self, healing
Absolutely.
yourself, knowing what you want for yourself. So really, it's that interdependence.
There you go.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
what I would say is I like everything that you said, and you know who I can practice that on first? Me. And in terms of, so I already have someone, people say, well, I don't know how to do it. And I say to them, well, then practice. And they say, well, who do I practice with? And I say, practice with yourself.
Nice.
Because if you can do all of those things that you just mentioned
Yeah.
and practice them with yourself
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
then you're going to be so much more equipped to do that with your significant other.
Nice. Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. So, folks, I'm going to leave you with this quote. Um, Love is meant to challenge us, to soften us, and to open us so that we will grow. You like that one, Dan?
I like it, because growth does involve struggle, doesn't it? Because look at a plant under the ground, right? In
Mm-hmm.
order to break through the ground, it has to struggle, it has to give effort to get up out of the ground, to rise up above, and to have the sun shine on it.
Yeah,
And so there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a part of the way everything works and goes.
that's
Effort
right.
is necessary,
Yeah, yeah,
including in a relationship. First with
absolutely.
me, and then with anyone else that I'm in a relationship with.
So there you have it, hard surface. I hope you love this one. I hope you are loving this one. We look forward to hearing your comments. We look forward to going live. Right now, we are still recording via a particular app that you all know of. I'm not advertising because I don't get paid for advertising. So we're still recording, and we will upload this on YouTube and Facebook. So please share, share, share. Help us grow, grow, grow. We love y'all. Take care. Heart surface.
All right, surf's up.
Don't forget to wave.
I know. You know what? There you go. That was the thing I was leaving out, and I appreciate the feedback.
Oh, and we like to go out with our intro song. So let me pull that up so you can jiggy jiggy with us too.
Sunlight and coconuts. Chair dancing.